Hey,
Hey, how's it
welcome
going?
back, you guys, to episode 3. It's been a good week, I think.
I know. I think we're on a decent schedule at this point.
I think so too. I'm very proud of it. We're getting it.
Yes,
We're getting it together, guys.
we are trying to
Ugh.
at least.
Now for one of
S-
my favorite parts of the night before we
Tell me what
begin.
you got. Tell me what you got.
Oh, I had to bring it out. The last time I went grocery shopping, I had to pick some of these bad boys up. If you know, you know from our IG Valentine's Day shoot post. I mean, you guys, if you have a Trader Joe's near you,
Get them. They're literally so good. I told Tiana, I'm like, I'm gonna have them shipped by you from you when you come visit next time. I'm not driving 2 hours to go to Trader Joe's. Just get me some strawberry. I would. I would. Let's just make a point, but which which is funny because if I go pick you up from the airport, I'm gonna have to drive 2 hours to get you anyway.
we might as well stop on the way to your house.
We might just have to do that and load up.
Stay tuned, guys. It'll be on our IG story.
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm double fisting tonight.
Oh my gosh, yes. Give it to me.
I've got strawberry sugar-free Gatorade. Probably
Okay.
not good for you. I have two, what is it called? Balancing. This is healthy. I have Zevia root beer, do to you, creamy root beer, whatever it is. Is it Zevia?
We love Zevia. Zevia is the best, y'all. It's one of the only pops that like is a non-pop. It's no sugar, guys, if you don't know Zevia. But I've tried Olipop and Poppy and they're great, trust me. But like Zevia is just hitting it without the sugar. I'm surprised every flavor that I try. I'm like, you're telling me that this has no sugar, no bad stuff, no
It's
aspartame.
And
You
it's
guys.
clear. I think that's what got me too. I'm like,
Oh
this
my
is root
gosh,
beer and it's
yes.
clear.
It's not brown. It literally
Yeah,
looks like regular sparkling water. Gets me every time.
so good. Also, I just want to say for all you people who don't call pop pop, for all you soda, Coke people, let's just make a point that Ollie Poppy, right there. It's in the name. I just wanted to point that out.
I didn't even recognize that. She said what she said, y'all.
So it's pop.
We hope that you guys have been loving episode 2 so far. If you haven't yet, go check it out. It's called Hyper Independency, but we talk about the dangers of kind of falling into isolation, which can happen when you have hyper independency tendencies. That's a tongue twister. Um, so we hope you've been loving it. Check it out on the YouTube or the Spotify. YouTube is where you can view with captions, and Spotify is audio only. We also posted a clip on the IG just to kind of tease a little bit of what we were talking about. So we hope you've been liking and enjoying that. And yeah.
All right, guys, if you watched our first episode about love and crushes, I know we mentioned a little bit about love languages.
Yes.
So that brings us to episode 3. We're going to be talking about love languages. I know that we kind of talked a little bit about what we thought our love language was. If you want to go ahead, I think you mentioned in the first episode how you took a test back then, a little while
Yes.
ago?
Yes. So this was back when I was doing therapy and I kind of mentioned it in episode 1. My therapist had suggested and encouraged me to take a love language test. At the time, we were kind of diving into how I approached romantic relationships. So it was kind of important. I had never really explored my love language and didn't know anything about them at the time. And so I ended up taking the test. And since then, like, I really have felt so empowered talking to people about the way that I receive and show love best. I think it's just such a cool thing to be able to articulate that about yourself to people that you love. And I think it's so important. So I was kind of hinting at it, and then we had talked about it off camera
Mhm.
about it because I got so nerdy about it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is my love language. Like we should totally talk about it." And you were so down. So that's what we want to do tonight. And I'm so excited.
Yes. So we both took the love language quiz online. We could definitely link that for you if you're interested in seeing what your love language is.
Yeah.
Um, we, I think for me, when I was taking it, I was thinking about romantic and just like platonic as well. Like, I think had the same love language for both. I think that you could have differences when
Yeah.
you're thinking one way or the other, but I kind of like kept it like mutual for the most part. I don't know about you. Like, did you just think more so on romantic side of things, or were you like also thinking about like how you show it to family members or friends or whatever?
That's really interesting. And I'm so glad that you brought that up because at first, of course, like the first test that I took years ago, but even taking it for the sake of the podcast this time, I don't know why, but my brain instantly thinks directly like just romantic.
Mhm.
But there were some questions that were kind of alluding to friendships or family members, just like overarching people that you love or someone that you
Yeah.
love. And so I think I challenged myself a little bit more this test to really think more broadly and think not just romantic, but also platonic and,
Yeah.
family wise. So I was, I still got the same results. I still got some of the results that I expected, which we'll go into very soon. Um, But yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that you were kind of thinking of it in all three ways.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I challenged myself to do that. It was very hard though, because it was talking a lot about uh
Your
oh,
your
if
spouse
someone
or like
puts your
yeah.
arm around you, or oh, if you sit close to them, or if they do something when you're really tired. And I'm just thinking like, oh, like what a husband would do or what a boyfriend would
Yeah.
do, like a partner.
There were definitely some questions where I'm like, I kind of don't want my mom putting her hand on my lap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there were definitely questions I was like, I definitely am not going to think that way with this one, obviously.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I thought it was an interesting test. I was kind of not surprised with my results, but I definitely think that it put a lot of things into perspective and had me like think a little bit about how I show love
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So,
It really helps. I think that it's a great tool. I would encourage anybody and everybody to take the test just to kind of figure out, even if you're doing it for funsies and there's
yeah,
no harm, no foul kind of thing, it's not serious. I
it's
just think that,
interesting.
yeah, it's very
Mhm.
interesting to see what language you prefer to give and receive love. I just think that that's so cool. So,
Yes, and the 5 love languages, if you didn't know, acts of service, quality time, just spending that with them, words of affirmation, like always hyping you up or what have
yeah,
you. Um, Receiving gifts, which I always thought was like a materialistic thing, but Tiana later will share a little deeper insight into gift giving because I guess it's just not all about the materialistic part of it. And lastly, physical touch. So the person who created the love language was Gary Chapman. He actually wrote a book on them to explain 5 general ways that romantic partners experience love and express it.
yeah,
The theory is that each person has one primary and one secondary love language. People tend to give love in the way they prefer to receive it.
yeah. When I read that, I don't know, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, but that made a lot of sense to me. I mean, in the obvious sense of like one primary, one secondary, but um it was almost kind of interesting to know that your primary love language is generally based on what you prefer to receive as well. I don't know if that's true for you.
Yes.
Okay. It is for
Yes.
me too. Yeah.
I think that I give it that way because I'm like, well, if I put it into the universe, then I can get it in return. But I know that's not always the case for the situation or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I'm learning. I had to learn the hard way, but I'm learning that the way I receive love is not the way that someone else receives love.
Yeah,
And that was like a
absolutely.
big thing that I had to learn.
Yeah. I also feel like I would prefer to receive quality time and then I also give quality time, though I think that my list for receiving might be there might be a few that are flipped for like how I give, if that makes sense. I think that on like a separate list, uh physical touch or maybe words of affirmation might be higher for me on my giving rather than receiving. I don't know if that makes any sense or if people out there would also envision two lists, but it's just very interesting to think about either way.
Oh,
So,
100%. I definitely think that something that would be high in the way that I give is like words of affirmation. I like to tell people, this is why I love you, or like, this is why
yeah.
you're in my life, or acts of service, obviously. But I think it's just because I know I would like that. So I just give it to someone else if they haven't like vocalized their love language in receiving. I think acts of service is just like an easy like gateway out. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I think it would make anybody happy, but that's just my opinion. I think
Yeah.
anybody enjoys like thoughtless tasks done for them. But
Yeah.
anywho, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think all of them, no matter what they rank on your list, all of them are just so important. And I mean, even Gary Chapman said in I was only reading the description of his book. I didn't really read the book, but he said that everybody experiences all of these love languages kind of simultaneously. It's not that
Yeah.
just because acts of service is your number one that you're only going to like focus on that. No, you
Mhm.
have quality time and you value physical touch maybe to some capacity in different areas of your life. So we all kind of experience all five, but obviously one of them tends to rank higher than the others. But they're all equally important, I think, and I think it's important not just to recognize which ones are most important to you, but to your partner and to your friends, to your family. I love the quote, to be loved is to be known. I just think that that rings so true. And
I
knowing the
100% agree.
way, yeah, knowing the way that not only you operate in relationships, but also how your loved ones operate, um, can make for a better
Yes.
dynamic in whatever relationship you're talking about or thinking about all around just because each party feels like they're more understood, they're taken care of properly in the unique way that they need to be.
Yes. I also feel like it could also depend on like what stage of your relationship you're in. Like
Yeah.
maybe in the beginning you're more about words of affirmation because you know you like want to know that that person is for you and only you. Then like as you progress, like maybe you're in a whole nother thing like, "Oh, I want like I don't know, quality time because but I
Oh
feel
my
like you want
gosh.
that way in the beginning of the relationship. Like I think throughout the beginning of the relationship you want that quality time because obviously you're trying to get to know that person.
Yeah.
But maybe, you know, like, once you get married, you don't really, like, value that as much because you live together. You see each other every
Right.
day.
Oh my
Do
gosh.
you know what I'm
No,
saying?
pause because you just said something kind of revolutionary to me. I never thought about it like that. I think that that's such a good, yeah.
It just
Yeah.
came to mind, I'll be quite honest with you. But I just like, you saying that about, like, to or what I'm sorry, what was the quote? I'm not
To be
good with
loved is to be
reciting.
known.
Yes, to be loved is to be known. How are you to fully love somebody if you don't really know them, I guess? And
Yeah.
so, like, knowing how they receive love, I think helps a relationship so much, and maybe, like, love languages aren't fully discussed in relationships because I feel like it's not something taboo to talk about, but it's just, like, a thoughtless thing. that you
Right.
just like do instead of talk about.
Right. Nobody sitting down and being like, babe, you really, really aced it on my on telling me that I'm just this really wonderful person today and you really spoke to my words of affirmation today. Thank you so much. Nobody's doing that.
Yes.
We do
Yes.
it on, like you said, reaction and just
Mhm.
throughout the daily routine. It's just a natural thing. But having an initial conversation about it at the
Yeah.
beginning of the relationship, like you mentioned, because it can shift. And I think when it does shift, or if it does, it's so important to bring that up. Like, it's important to talk about it every now and then. And I think
Mhm.
that that can seamlessly be woven into your everyday life. Maybe one day you wake up and your partner does the dishes without you asking, and maybe you've been having a hard time mentally, like maybe they clean the whole entire house. I don't know. It's
Yes.
important to point out maybe if you recognize like, whoa, like that meant a lot more to me than if they were to come in here and tell me, I know you're going through a hard time, but you're going to get through it. It's important to kind of vocalize that and say, thanks so much for doing that for me. I really think that that act of service made me feel so loved in that moment. I don't know. I think about the conversations to be
Yeah.
had, and I just think that's such a beautiful thing.
Yes. I also feel like, in lieu of, what this podcast is about, like the stages of your life, like being in between, how you receive and give changes throughout your life. I know that kind of just goes coincide with like relationships in general. But I think that maybe in my early 20s, I would have received love differently than I would like to now. I mean, it hasn't changed,
Yes. Oh
but
my gosh.
just like for other people, like in high school, like maybe it's like gifts and, physical touch because I mean, you're young, like you want to be
Right.
all over each other. I don't know.
Right.
But like now I'm more so like I'm older. I want to see that you love me. Like actions for me speak louder than words. And so I speak about acts of service all the time. And I just think that, like, in any form of relationship that I have with people, it's definitely always been like that. And I think, yeah, like, even if I get older, it might change again. Like, who
Yeah.
knows?
And
But I
that's a
definitely think,
beautiful thing if
like,
it
yeah,
does.
yes, definitely being
Yeah.
that in between, I receive it differently, just
Yeah.
seeing everything around me. But
Wow. I love that you mentioned that. Thank you for saying that. That is such a good thing to think about.
I'm just so
Uh,
wise.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Uh, Beyond the importance and the deeper meaning of all of it, we also thought it would just be fun to take the test. I thought it
Yeah.
would be fun to retake it. And now that you said all of those things about how it can change, um, I love that because I want to share, when I share my results, you'll see that things have changed. And it's a positive change to kind of see which ones have bumped up on the list that maybe were really low before. I don't know. We'll
Mhm.
get into that in just a second, but we just really thought it would be fun to share our results and our experiences. Maybe what we had assumed about all the different love languages before and how they shifted when we took the test. I just think it's such a confidence booster when you're able to tell your loved ones, how you're best loved. And communication is cool. I don't know.
I'm a big communicator. I just am always trying to be forthcoming in the way that I'm feeling or, vice versa. I love to hear like if I like upset you or if I made you happy. That's like good to hear too. So I definitely am a big communicator and just making sure that I am just forthcoming with my people. So yeah, communication is cool when it's given on both ends for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. So, Sarah, I want to ask you first if you want to share your results and any prior assumptions that you had about any of the love languages. Um, were any of them proven inaccurate for you or true for you, confirming for you? I just want to hear it all. So, go for it.
Yeah, so my results were acts of service being number 1.
Okay.
Not shocked there.
Neither am I.
Second was
For
quality
you.
time. Yeah. Third was words of affirmation. Fourth was receiving gifts, and last but not least, physical touch.
Which doesn't
um,
surprise me for you either. You've
no,
talked numerous times about
I don't
how
like being touched.
just not a physical, touchy person.
No, I don't really do hugs. I think if I do a hug, it's like someone else initiated it, so I feel bad. I do it to family. I do give my like elders hugs, like aunts, uncles. I just feel
Yeah.
like it's respectful in my personal opinion to do that. I know some people don't care for that. They were like, why am I giving them a hug? I don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So I'm really not surprised with physical touch being my last thing. Receiving gifts, not surprised either. As we spoke earlier, I always had the negative cognition that it was just like materialistic y, if that's even a word. And
We'll make it a word.
just, yeah, I don't really feel like I need gifts to prove your love. To me, it's just surface level, I think. And I know that some people may be so meaningful and intentional with the gifts they give. And I love that. I love personal made gifts or like thoughtful gifts. That is like something
Yeah.
I do enjoy. Um, but yeah, I'm not surprised where that's at. I just think like anyone can buy you something. I'm more of an actions speak louder than words, as I said before too. Words of affirmation, it's in the middle, and I feel the same way. I like it's cool, but also like I
Yeah.
don't always need that. And then quality time, I was a little shocked with, not gonna lie. Um,
Okay.
I feel like I do enjoy time with my people when I'm with them. And I think that's more so platonic-y. Just like with relationships, I think in the beginning I'm very weird about them. Unless we like hit it off right off the bat. I'm like, yeah, I want to be with you like all the time. And then acts of service, I'll say number one. Like anyone who knows me, I've always said that, and I'm like so true to it as well. Like bad days, or maybe you have like a unspoken chore list between you and
Hmm.
someone else, or like my dad cleaning my car, or my mom borrowed my car and like put gas in it, or that's how I do it too. Like I live with my parents, so I'm always trying to show my love, I guess, doing things for them without being told like an adult should. Like I'm not a teenager anymore, having to be told to like vacuum or something. But yeah, just like cleaning the house for my mom. I know she's working all the time and just like doing stuff like that. But also like thinking on the relationship side of things, I'm like, yeah, like it would be nice to have my significant other like do the dishes, or if children are involved, hey, I'll take the kids for the day just out of
Yeah.
nowhere. Go do what you want, or like if you're,
Right.
whatever. I'm all for acts of service. I just am so passionate about that in the way that I receive love. It is like such a huge thing for me.
Right. Yeah.
But
And I,
yeah.
I told you that I wasn't surprised by
Yeah.
that being your top. I can
Mhm.
see that in our personal friendship,
Mhm.
um, that ranks very high for you and that you value it so much. And then I already said I wasn't surprised about physical touch being sort of lower on the list. Um,
I love that I'm not like transparent about the way I receive love.
no, I love that too.
I would hate for someone to like just try to be so touchy with me, and I'm just like, and then
Just
I
like,
just seem like so
actually,
standoffish.
look at my list. What's number five? Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kidding.
For real.
But
No.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
interesting
I
to
just
hear that, quality time and just your thoughts on it. I think that it's really interesting you brought up for the physical touch specifically, how you hug or you maybe show that physical touch out of respect. I've even started to think about in myself, like, do I do that? Have I done that in the past? But I think that speaks to your love language of acts of service almost in a very interesting way. How you're putting aside maybe that internal, like, ooh, I don't really love physical touch all that much, but I'm doing this almost for my family members to show them, to let them know that I love them. Like it's almost you taking acts of service and applying it. I don't know what your grandma or your aunts or your uncle's love language is. Maybe it is more common in older people that the physical touch being number one. I don't know. I would love to see statistics on that. But you know your grandma and your aunts and your uncles best and maybe your older cousins or whatever. And so I think that it speaks to you doing an act of service in the way that you're giving up those iffy emotions about physical touch to be there for them and to show them love in that way. I just think that's so cool to think about and I wanted to comment on that. But
Yeah. I think also it stems from just like, I value time as well in my life. And so just knowing that, as I get older, I don't see them every day like I do my parents and like my brother and his fiance and nephew per se, and my grandma. Um, but I just think it's like, you don't know when the last time you're gonna see them, like it could be 4 days, it could be a week, it could be a month. And so I just think, like giving them even a hug is like my way of saying like I'm okay with this being like the last thing that happens for us, which I know it's so like morbid to say this, but I think that really stems from like the hug thing with them is I don't know. I also was thinking about this while you were talking, because you mentioned just like the way my love language is with my elders.
mhm.
I think that you can receive love from different people in different ways. I like receiving love from my
Yeah.
elders, like physical touch, weirdly. And they're probably like the only people I hug, and like my nephew. Like kids
Yeah.
are easy and like the old people are easy. But everything else is like different, like a significant other, acts of service, 100%. Like my parents, acts of service. Friends may be different, So yeah, I think that's like also something I just thought about.
Sarah is just coming in with the revolutionary ideas, you guys. You're blowing my mind left and right. You're making me think of love languages and how we interact with them in new ways, and I just appreciate that. I just wanted to say
Well,
that.
thanks. It's a
Like,
lot deeper than just like the surface stuff,
cuz
for
I'm
sure.
thinking now, uh quality time is very very high on my list for romantic partners and friendships. But with family, I think it's maybe acts of service, maybe words of affirmation. Especially I think of my dad. He's a big, if I had to guess, and this is my problem. Now that I know my own love language and I'm nerding out about it, I always kind of think about, oh, what's yours or what's yours? Just
Yeah.
I'm so observant. So I always am so curious about what other people's love language is. Um, but for my dad, I would assume that it is maybe not number one, but I would assume that acts of service is up there for him compared
Okay.
to a few of the other ones. So it's just
Right.
interesting that, like, with my dad, an act of service would be exchanged between us. I love that you brought that up. Love it. Love it.
Okay, well, what about you? What was the ranking? What'd you think?
For me, it was quality time. So not surprising. uh,
There you go with the thumbs.
oh my gosh, I did it again. I'm sorry. Quality time, then words of affirmation, also not very surprising. Physical touch was number three, which I'm gonna get into in just a second. Acts of
I'm a little shocked on
service.
that one. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm a little shocked
No,
on
you're
your
good.
physical touch.
Yeah. Number three. And then four was acts of service. And then five, receiving gifts. So just to read what the website gives you, quality time. means that you prize undivided attention from others. Spending meaningful and uninterrupted time together profoundly impacts your emotional world, whether it's in deep conversations or sharing experiences together with a loved one who is fully present and engaged. Quality time conveys that you are a top priority and deeply loved. And you know what? That just speaks volumes. I'm like, yep, that's me. It's totally me. Um, so
Yeah.
quality time being number one wasn't surprising. Like I mentioned, it was quality time the last time that I took it a few years ago. I see it in my everyday life. I just love some good time spent with the people that I love.
Yeah.
I think it could be, it's like what you see maybe on Instagram sometimes. People write about, oh, anybody who just would sit in a room with me, we can both scroll on our own phones, but just the presence of somebody else just means so much.
Yes. Like we did that when you visited. We
Yeah,
literally sat and watched 2 movies back to back, just like each other's company.
right. And it was the
I
greatest
love
time.
that.
I loved it.
Yes. Like, I
And
have a cousin who would just I would go over and just hang out on the couch and we're just scrolling TikTok.
yeah,
I get 100% what you're saying.
yes. So just having somebody there for me just means the entire world. I do think that what really fills my cup per se is when I'm with somebody or multiple people that I love and we're having really deep intellectual conversations. I love it. I love having it over coffee or maybe I'm
Yes.
two friends of mine specifically come to mind where I'm going to their house and we're our plan for the night is to sit and play a game that maybe requires us to dig a little deeper. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the game We're Not Really Strangers.
You guys play that game? Oh my gosh. I've seen it everywhere and I love it. I love things that spark conversation. Love that.
Yes, yes. So to me, a good time, a good night is sitting with, some really close quality friends, maybe a drink in hand, and we're going around and we're have these like cue cards that require us to dig a little deeper and to kind of share things or just naturally talking about life and having deep conversation come up. It's just so good.
So good, dude. I also feel like that with our relationship. I think like that's kind of how this podcast got started. Like we start so small in a topic and then we're just like talking about the world and how to solve world's problems at some point, you know.
Yes. And I love that about us. I love when I feel like people are interested in my existence. And I think that just fills my cup. It makes me feel so important. It makes me feel so loved, obviously, when people want to know
Yes.
things about me that are deeper than just, hey, how was your day? Good. How was yours? Good. Cool.
Yes, like they just want to be around you and knowing that like they're literally just with you doing nothing
Yeah.
to me means a lot. Like they want to just do nothing with you.
Yeah. Like the most mundane thing in the world. Maybe, hey,
Mm.
come over while I fold my laundry. And your friend is like,
Yes.
absolutely, I'm there. To know that they don't need anything from you, but being in your presence means something to them. Telling you.
Yes. I also feel
So
like
good.
that's probably top on your giving list as well. I could see
Yes.
that being. I think you love to show people that you love them, and that's your way to show it is quality
Yes.
time.
I love showing up for people that I love. I love when my presence means something. I mean, I just said that, like, but I love when they recognize it and when I can show them love and give
Yeah.
love by me showing up. And to know that is just so cool. It's an automatic back and forth. My presence means something to you, which in turn means something to me.
Yes, ma'am.
But
I love that.
yeah. And it's funny because it wasn't too long ago. Um, I know that we had this topic as planned to do very soon, whether it was this one or, you know, a soon episode to come. But while I was thinking about what I was going to contribute to the podcast today, it was interesting because it brought me back to an experience I had not too long ago where I was sitting and I was talking with some people that I love in my life, and we were having some pretty deep conversation just about, like, oh, you know, family and how I'm doing mentally or emotionally. And I was sharing something, but I noticed that they had kind of been distracted by the TV that was in the vicinity. I think back to that day, and I was sitting there and I was like, are they listening to me? Like, am I sharing something that's worth like listening to and being present for? I literally caught myself in the moment, and I can think back to how I felt as I saw their eyes sort of shifting, and I was like, "Oh, they're not interested anymore." And I kind of felt shut down. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yes. That comes to the communication. I feel like also in those situations, like, you realize people have checked out and you're like, "Oh," like,
Ugh,
I don't wanna say they don't care, but maybe not as deep.
right.
Maybe on that level, like, they're there for you for certain things.
Yeah, and then my least prioritized love language on my list, as I mentioned, was gift giving, and that's where I kind of wanted to bring in the comment that we mentioned earlier. Um, I had a preconceived assumption that gift giving was also very shallow. No offense to anybody out there that it's your priority love
Yeah.
language. All love to you guys, seriously. I'm sharing what I thought before. My sh- mindset has definitely shifted a little bit.
I've been excited to
Um,
hear this.
yeah. So I was like, oh, you know, materialistic, it's not very deep, like whatever. But as I did a little bit more research because I didn't want to be a hater, um, I realized that it is deep in the sense, and I think you alluded to it before. It's not just about giving stuff, right? It's not just, oh, here's a gift because I just want, like, it's not just flowers on Valentine's Day. I think, and people in the comments, people in the audience, if this is your priority love language, please feel free to enlighten us more and further on this.
I would
But
love to
what,
know why. I know,
yeah,
like, that's totally, like, your way of giving or receiving love for sure, but I would love to know why or, like, how
same.
you feel the way you do.
Yeah,
That's, like, such a interesting love language to me. Probably one
right.
of the most interesting because I know it's not just a negative.
Right. And I think that's what makes it so unique is it's not as shallow as people may assume
Yeah.
it is. It's not, again, it's just stuff and here you go, here's flowers because it's Valentine's Day. It's meticulously thinking of that person in your everyday life and seeing something that maybe reminds you of that person specifically or an experience that you shared with them. And I think that's
Ah.
honestly a very beautiful thing. So I put like
Yeah.
in a sweet way, that person is almost surrounded by you in their daily life. They're kind of always seeking you out, right? They're
That's
maybe at the
so
grocery
cute.
store or they're at Target and they pass by the candle section. They see a candle that's so specific to everybody around them. It would be, oh, you know, it's this eucalyptus candle, you know,
Yeah. But
moonlight
they have a deeper
braces.
story.
Weird title, right? By Yankee. And to you or to that person that picks it up, immediately it's this mindful, imaginative, bringing you back, the scent, right? Scent is one of the strongest senses, and that is so can be so nostalgic for people and bring them back to an
Yes.
experience. And I just think of someone picking up a candle and being like, this reminds me of when it rained when we were at the baseball game and we didn't know how it was going to be, and it was our first date, and I thought maybe that it was going to be awkward, but we both loved it and we both ran to the car. Like, it's this whole slew of memories that come
Yes.
flooding. And I
Not me,
think
like,
that
having tears over your
yes.
hypothetical situation.
I'm like, that probably happens. I mean, again, please confirm or deny if you
Yes.
yourself have that as your priority love language, but I really think that that's more what it means. It's seeing
Yeah.
this person in the little details of life.
Oh
And I
my
think that's
gosh.
a beautiful thing.
I love that you brought that perspective into this because we could have just went without knowing any of that and
Yeah.
then just still like going with our lives, never knowing
Yeah.
that. Because
Yeah.
here I am thinking like, "Ugh, he brought me a gift because he felt bad that he did something." But like when
Right.
it's got thought put into it, like here I am thinking like as you were saying that, I'm like, "Oh wow," like thinking of a hypothetical situation that I would just like love, you know, a gift
Yeah.
that
And like you
meant
said,
so
like the
much.
handmade things, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're so sweet. They're so tender. Wow.
That or just like you said, like thoughtful gifts. I guess I said that without knowing what I meant. Just like your hypothetical situation with the eucalyptus and the baseball. I love
I
that though.
I'm a
Like
big metaphor person. But I love
I
how my
feel
metaphor and your ideas or your thoughts just kind of like interlinked and we made a whole concept out of it. We
I
came to
love
a whole
that.
conclusion together. Teamwork.
I love that people have that as their love language. I have a different understanding and appreciation for it now. I think I need to retake this test. Um because I do think that is so thoughtful and I feel like that could also go along with acts of service in a way,
Yeah,
going out
they're
of their
all like
way.
intertwined. It's very
They
interesting.
are. I feel
Yeah.
like when any time someone is giving love per se, yes, giving love and knowing that I am doing an act of service, I'm also like maybe getting a hug from you because I did it or like
Right.
that's physical what is it? Physical touch.
Yeah.
I don't really know that one because obviously I don't really like that one that much, but yeah, like you said, they're all intertwined. I love that. So definitely have a better understanding on gift giving. I've always just had this negative connotation on that love language, and now it all makes sense to me. And I love that people have that as their number one because that's cute. It's really cute.
Yeah, it's very sweet. And speaking of negativity surrounding a particular love language, I wanted to touch briefly on my journey with how physical touch bumped its way up to third. I
Okay.
wanted to mention that in the test that I took a few years prior, physical touch was at a mere 4%. I don't know what the percentages are. We didn't really go into them, but 4% is quite low. And my therapist was actually very concerned, like on a very serious note. He was kind of concerned uh, that it was so low on my priorities of how I give and receive love because at the time I had been working through a relationship, a long-term relationship, very serious, that ended very toxically. Is that a word? We're gonna make it a word. We're making words up here on the pod, and
It
you'll
was a
just have to
very
bear with us.
toxic relationship, the toxicity.
Right. It ended on toxic terms. How many
There you
ways can
go.
you use the word toxic? Go. Anyways, so um, at that point, because of what had transpired, uh, physical touch was definitely the least important thing to me. Um, there were some wounds that I needed to heal, and so through therapy, obviously, we worked through that, and I learned that for me at the time, which it's going to apply generally, physical touch is a healthy part of the romantic relationship side of things. I think that every single love language to some capacity has to have some sort of part in your life and in your relationships. Obviously, they're going to look different for everybody. Like the physical touch is going to look different for your romance than your friends.
Mhm.
If you're kissing your friends, I mean, by all means, do your thing. But it's going to look different. And so I really
Yes.
learned the value of physical touch. And I was really happy and positively surprised to see it bump up on the list and not be dead last or at a mere 4%. And it, to me, that shows personal growth. It shows that I'm prioritizing the way that not just my heart is loved, but the way my body's loved. And I know that that's almost cringy. It's very deep, but it does mean a lot to me. And I think that it speaks on my self esteem and how I felt in my body, how I felt physically in a relationship. And it's nice to see improvement that I care more about the way somebody loves my physical being as well as my emotional being.
That's
So
so
just
good.
wanted to share that.
No, that's so good. And I mean, obviously, I know about that time that you were going through just due to what you've told me. And bet that that was probably something very hard to work through. But knowing your results now, I feel like that just shows your growth and how you apparently have healed somewhat
Yeah.
for it to be that high on your list now. And I think that is such a
Yeah.
positive like thing to look at now. And you seem like you're okay with your physical touch.
Yeah, I
So,
feel much
with that
more
being high,
comfortable. The thought of somebody placing their hand on my leg or something to show affection doesn't creep me out anymore or doesn't make me like get off of me.
cringe, yeah. Yeah.
Like it was a very almost scared response. And it did worry me when we kind of went through that in therapy. And so I'm glad that we took the time to really analyze what got me there and how I
Yeah.
could improve that. And now I think that it's a much healthier balance for all of them. Even though receiving gifts has bumped to the bottom, I don't think it's there in a bad sense. It's just there in a natural sense. So that feels good.
You're just so wise for your young age. I am very proud of you and how far you come.
I appreciate that. But now we would love to hear from you guys. If you haven't taken the test, we're going to link that for you, whether in our story. I don't know how it's going to be yet, but it'll be up somewhere. And we would love for you guys to either take it if you haven't yet, or just go ahead and share your results if you've taken it in the past. What A is your top priority love language? Did your test confirm anything through your experience rather than taking a test? Like maybe you didn't take it, but you just know throughout your daily life, oh, for sure, I'm a fill in the blank. I'm a words of affirmation person. That's something that we'd love to know too. If you did take the test, is there anything that surprised you? Is there anything that was really validating for you? Um, yeah, we'd love to know.
Yeah, I think, already at the top of my head, I think I would love to do a poll, how you give and how you receive love. I'm genuinely curious for everybody.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know, it's interesting to hear everybody's, love language and how they think that they give it as well. It's just it's just something cool to think about and, like, how we're all different, but, like, we have the same thoughts about certain things, and I don't know.
yeah,
So let us know.
please. But I think that concludes episode 3.
Yay.
We hope that you have enjoyed listening to us yap about love languages and letting us nerd out just a little bit. Uh, if you know us on the IG, we are at Between the Pod, and on YouTube and Spotify, we are the In Between Podcast, and that's where you can find us. We have the website in the Instagram bio. Please check it out. Please feel free to use the community tab. We thank the people that have been kind of checking it out and sending in submissions for the forms about what they'd love to see on the pod. So thank you so much for those that have done that. It's totally free to join the community, and we'd love to get some more people on there. And that's pretty much all we have. So,
Yes, we'll see you soon, guys. Catch us for episode 4, Quattro.
we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.